we're working with the financial planner and putting some additional things into place. They recommended we meet with an estate planning attorney. Should we wait until we finish setting up before starting this process? You should start with your attorney first, I would say, and create your trust. And the attorney will give funding recommendations, meaning how they recommend things should be set up. And then you can go to your financial advisor and they'll help you update the beneficiaries of your accounts. Because if you have young children, you're going to want to name the trust as the contingent beneficiary of those accounts. So it's a good idea to set up your trust first and then go back to your financial advisor and then have them help you get things inside of your trust. Husband has a trust, interested in having a separate trust. Once you complete my trust, are you recommending that it be reviewed every 5 years? Yes, every 5 years. Or if you can promise to not change it all in 5 years, or promise that the world around you won't change. So yeah, every 5 years, I want to see you, or I recommend that you look at it every 5 years to make sure that it's current. And what would the expected expense of such provisions? P.S. We have no children. So what would the expected expense be? In that meeting, we'll show you, we'll recommend, we'll talk about a plan that's right for you. And here, I'll actually show you the fee agreement. So this is what our fees look like. So for a married couple that needs a trust package, that fee's around $3,000. What that includes, everything in the will package. And the main thing is you get a plan being designed by an attorney. So that's the main thing that we're helping you with. The documents are just a byproduct of our service. Last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, includes the mental health care power of attorney and a living will, financial power of attorney, which is a durable power of attorney. Trust package is all of that, plus digital asset language. So digital assets is your information that's being stored electronically. And here's the problem that this allows us to solve. Now, currently, a lot of information is stored electronically, like bank statements. When I learned this business, more of that came by mail. So here's a very common phone call that we still get. And I first got this about, I think it was, about 13 or so years ago. I was in college working as a law clerk. And someone called. They said, hey, my parents passed away. I'm the trustee. I found this document here. I found this binder. But how do I figure out what accounts they have? How do I figure out what stuff they have? I said, good question. I went to the attorneys, paralegals. I said, what's the answer? They said, tell them to look around the house for bank statements, see if they can find any bank statements, or have them start getting the mail to see what comes in the mailbox. So not a very good answer. Wasn't a very good answer at that time, and it's an even worse answer today, because now a lot of that important information comes electronically. So these laws were passed in 2016. Arizona passed it. It's called the Fiduciary Access to Digital Asset Act. It defines digital assets as your information being stored electronically, and it says that you have the ability, that you have the right to control what happens to that information. So I got very excited, and I updated our process, and I've been refining it ever since then. 2016, that law became available. So digital asset language, this first general request, it gives the ability to request an inventory of your assets. So just tell them what account you have, who's the owner, who's the beneficiary, that type of information. That's the information that the trustees need to do their job. Now, without that in place, we do the administration work. And so like that, going back to that call, if they can't find anything around the house, if they can't figure out where their bank accounts are at, if they call the bank, they can't tell them any information. If the account's in the trust, you have to prove that you're the trustee of the trust, that you have the authority, show them the document of the trust, and then they'll tell you if there's an account in the name of the trust. If there's an account in the name of the individual, they won't be able to tell you unless you go through probate and get appointed as a personal representative. So giving the ability to request that information, it avoids that. It gives the ability to, for the trustees, which is usually the kids, that they can request that general information. Now, the digital asset trust is to make more specific requests over things like email and photos and videos. So for email, what I recommend at a minimum is that you list your email accounts and give the trustee the ability to request a list of the emails. They can't read the messages. They can't see what anything says. They can just get a list of what was sent, what the subject was, and who the sender was, and that's it. So that's the modern mailbox. So that way, if I get that call and someone says, "What do I do?" With the digital asset language, that general language gives us the ability to call the bank and allows them to respond to us. If that doesn't help us, we can look in an email and get some information there. Now, for things like photos and videos that you store on your phone, for those types of things, those digital assets where the photos and videos is what you're trying to protect, the underlying digital assets, we can designate what happens to that. So in my personal digital asset trust, I include my iCloud account. By default, all the photos and videos on your iCloud account die with you. No rights of survivorship. Google has what's called inactive account manager. You can say what happens if your account is inactive. I didn't want to put my 13-year-old as my inactive account manager. They don't have an adequate solution for me. So I included my YouTube channels and my Google assets in my digital asset trust and directed that all of those things be copied to my children. The digital vault membership, this gives you a place to store everything electronically. So that's where you get your login to a place to keep all the documents electronically. So that's what we call the digital vault. To do all those things for a married couple, somewhere around there, we can give you a break on those fees if it's pretty simple, if it goes off of there. If you want to add things like the dynasty trust or a pet trust, we have a really good pet trust. Recently gave $500,000 to a cat, so we hooked that cat up. Made sure there's a separate trustee over that pet trust managing the money. There's a separate caregiver that's responsible for the pets. And in this case, the way we did it is if they went without incident every year that there was no incident with the pets, the caregiver got a bonus. So good way we can take care of the pets. And then, just some other things as well.